here with you, huh?
Well, he, frankly, as he's made quite public, he's not too fond of you.
Well, I'm not too fond of him either. I think motor mouth is a good term to use for him. And probably what happened, he went out to call Gary Hart. They have that mutual admiration society. You know, he's taken over the reins of Kabuki now. And so he probably went to call Gary Hart, his favorite slick-headed manager, and tell him what's going on over here.
Yeah, that situation between Rod Piper and Gary Hart, I found almost unbelievable.
Well, I found it almost sickening myself, Gordon, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I can certainly agree with that. It was an interesting situation, what we're talking about, in case you weren't tuned in last week. We were in the process of interviewing Gary Hart when Mr. Piper said he wanted to interview him, and all of a sudden, what transpired was most surprising indeed, and if you don't mind...
well, if you don't mind, I do mind, so we'll just leave and let you show it.
Okay, all right. Well, no love lost between those two, but it was most unusual, and I was somewhat surprised at the subjective nature that Mr. Piper took to Mr. Gary Hart. But anyway, here's the conversation as it took place between Gary Hart and Rod Piper.
I would like to tell you something, Mr. Hart. First of all, it is a pleasure to be here with a man of your stature, and it hurts me deep inside, being the professional that I am, and knowing how great you are and what you can accomplish. As a manager, it is truly not only an insult to you, but an insult to me, Mr. Hart, to have them bar you from the arena, to take away a man that does not even speak English. What this is, you see, Mr. Hart, you know it as well as I do. This is public opinion being swayed. They say public is saying you're doing this because they don't like you. They don't like me. They're saying you do that. This is no place for that. And myself, I am insulted for you, Mr. Hart, because I know how great you are, and they're taking a man that does not even speak English and taking away his communication, and I think it's disgusting.
You know, it is marvelous how perceptive you are about the American attitude. And I tell you, the reason you understand is because you are a non-American. You are from Glasgow, Scotland. Yes, right? And I will say this to you, Roddy. I truly appreciate this man's concern when it comes to fairness and fair play. It's a proven point that they don't like Asians in Georgia. They're barring me from the building. Now, I wish you would tell the people what you and I have come up with. Okay?
Well, you see, as they say, what was it Mr. Armstrong said? Something about birds of a feather flock together. Well, then, Mr. Armstrong, for the first time, he is absolutely right. And it's easy for me to come up here and talk, Mr. Hart, but not do nothing. But I hear me being a man like you are, me knowing maybe not quite the manageable capabilities of yours. You could be. I have something to ask you. We talked about it before with Mr. Kabuki. What I would like to do to show and help this Mr. Kabuki with his communications, if you would please, let me take your place just this one time. I would truly be honored. I know that I'm not up to your capabilities, but Mr. Hart, I know what I'm doing, and I could truly serve Mr. Kabuki right.
You know something? I don't think that you give yourself the proper credit that you deserve. Roddy, I truly believe beyond a shadow of a doubt, you are an international star. You are not local. And if anyone other than myself, and I want this perfectly understood, and I want to personally, here on Nationwide Television, congratulate you for your concern, and I will accept you being at ringside to look after my interests.
Mr. Hart,
okay.
I was truly, thank you very much. Let me tell you something, and to show you that I know what I'm talking about, you see, like Dusty Rhodes, Tommy Ricks, they're all coming out here, they're all talking, a whole bunch of guys. Dusty Rhodes, the American dream, like you say. No, that is, well, let me tell you something. We should ask Kabuki what he thinks of the American dream. We should ask Iran. We should ask all kinds of people. We should ask Mr. Hart.
Can I just interrupt you just a second? Say one thing?
I'm excited.
Okay. Bob Armstrong said, birds of a feather flock together, but gold and silver are nice combinations too. You're the gold and I'm the silver.
They're going to say that's incredible. Now to some say, yes, one thing, whoa.
Wait a minute. One thing I ask. When you take Kabuki to the ring, would you please pipe him in with a bagpipe?
It would be my pleasure. Do some commercials right now. What a man you are.
Well, the young man would like to soar with the eagles.
Yes, absolutely sore with it. He goes, I want to say something. I slipped off. I told you exactly where I was going. Well, where is Armstrong? Comes out here like he's a big man, and all of a sudden, where is Big Bird, all them skinny little legs? You want something to say to me, Mr. Armstrong? You want to talk to RP? Well, then you just jump right out. But I come out here on my own free will, looking for Mr. Armstrong, and he's gone like the racehorse he said he is. He is a racehorse, and he's an extremely good runner, Mr. Soley.
Okay, well, you've had your say, Mr. Piper. We'll be back in just a moment. Universal heartthrob, as he is now, Mr. Ralston Idol.
You know, I can understand Roddy Piper's opinions about, I think the whole thing going down here in the state of Georgia, and not only in Georgia, but around the entire country, that there are few people that cannot accept to play second fiddle. I mean, you take a look at here. You've got Bob Armstrong, who shoots his mouth off about what he's going to do to this guy and what he's going to do to that guy. And they talk about the Ole Andersons, about how they'd love to be in the position Ole Anderson's in. Oh, Roddy Piper, well, you know what it boils down to is one key word we're dealing with, and that is jealousy. It's professional jealousy. Not only is it in wrestling, it's in baseball, football, hockey, soccer, and the list goes on and on. And it doesn't make any difference if it's Bob Armstrong, or if it's Tommy Rich, or if it's this new guy on the scene, Terry Taylor. It makes no difference, darling. The fact of the matter is, either you've got it or you don't. And either you are a great athlete, like Roddy Piper, or like Ole Anderson, or like yours truly, none other than the greatest of them all, Austin Idol, or you're going to have to play second fiddle for the rest of your life, darling. And there's one thing that's hard to swallow. It's the bitter truth. But let's face it, it is the truth. And if you can't take it, Jackson, go someplace else. Armstrong, if you can't take it, Armstrong, go someplace else. Nobody's keeping him here. Am I right or am I wrong, Soley? Do you admit it? Do you agree with me, yes or no? Sure you do.
Indeed. Well, let's find out if Mr. Idol can back up all of those comments in the ring. One has to admit that he's an outstanding competitor, but he's facing a great competitor, too. Let's turn it over to the ring at this time, and it is Austin Idol going up against Archie Williams. Idol telling the referee to make sure that his opponent understands the rules and regulations. Idol, of course, uses the what he calls the Las Vegas leg lock. It's a figure four. He uses it with great alacrity. Now, there he came from a possible rear face, but he grabbed the hair of the referee, Scrappy McGowan, and that's exactly what he is. He is scrappy. He'll get with you. Calling him on that very quickly. Shutting him down. Austin Idol now bottom wrist lock. Lateral drop. And notice the way now as Williams tried to fight that, and he came down on the point of his shoulder. A little more impact on the point of that shoulder, and he could have had a shoulder pointer or shoulder separation. Just saying, once that lateral drop is moved upon you from the bottom wrist lock, you'd better go with it. There's no two ways about it. Rod Piper watching this match, and it's quite obvious from the words of Austin Idol that you two are reasonably close friends.
Well, Austin Idol is an extremely proficient wrestler. You notice the balance he possesses. You notice the legs far apart, the wide stance, how he circles around, more pressure on the shoulder. The man has to take the easy way out, goes for the rope. Good thing to do with Austin Idol. He's extremely powerful, but so is this young man here, isn't he?
No question about the fact that he is extremely powerful, and Idol found that out just now as Archie got the side headlock on him, drops down to one knee, keeps the pressure on him, so Idol's got himself some problems.
It's interesting. What these men are doing right now is brawn versus brawn. And what Idol's doing right now is showing his prowess in his strength department. But he also has great scientific moves. He's an all-around great wrestler, this Austin Idol. He truly is. And this young fella is great experience for him. And if he could pull one out here, it would really be a feather in his cap.
There's no question about it. Idol keeping the wrist lock now goes to a reversed inside armbar. And it is Archie trying to figure an escape if he can.
Nice. Now notice the pressure on the wrist. Dig the hands into a double wrist lock, using all the utilities. Now the only thing you could do better here that Roy P would do is I would hook the head with my leg, even using all my limbs. Where Austin, he's so powerful, he doesn't really have to do that. Young man there looking for the ropes, looking for a way out.
And it is Williams getting that near leg, and as he did, he was able to break it up, bring Idol off his feet. Idol dropping that hip down on the side of the head of Williams, and it is Idol now keeping the pressure on Williams, trying to turn into his man.
Fantastic. What Austin is doing, you see, that's another thing that young wrestlers are afraid of. What they do is they're so conscious of not putting their shoulders on the mat. You don't have to worry about it. You've got 3 seconds. Now, what Austin was just doing there, he was hanging, and he got in a position where possibly he could have got a 1 count on his shoulders. But he didn't worry about that because he knew he could get his shoulders up, just hang on to that hold, and that's exactly what it did. And that's great. The young fellas get excited. The old pros like myself, we know just what to do.
And it is Idol now, almost guillotining him that time as he brings him down. He's got him in a lot of problems.
Yes, he does. He's still hanging on to that hold. That's just fantastic. He's going to wear it down, wear it down. The referee acting tremendous officialing here at Georgia Championship Wrestling. Referee's always Johnny on the spot. Austin Idol is not doing anything illegal but fantastic scientific wrestling, and it truly is an art here. And Austin Idol is one of the people that supply that art to its best.
Idol proving the fact, of course, that he likes to be on that mat, and he's extremely dangerous on the mat. Into the ring ropes, Idol very quickly throwing those arms backward, calling for the break, and a good clean break. Once again, collar and elbow, and it is Idol bowled back into the... Williams caught him. Williams now unleashing an attack on him. Idol was ahead of him. Drove the boot.
It's amazing what you learn in championship wrestling. It truly is. Even I can learn something at championship wrestling. Look at Austin Idol. Tenacious attack there on Austin Idol's part. Great psychology. Look at grabbing the leg, like I said. Look at him tied up.
And came down with that elbow right across the nose, and very well could have broken his nose. In that process, we might get a chance to see that again in slow motion. I'm not sure if we'll have a replay or not, but if we do, now watch. Here's Williams trying to get back to his feet. Now watch Idol come crashing down. And Williams turning his head to one side. As he did, it looked like that elbow might have caught him squarely in the nose. And he might have indeed a broken nose, plus the humiliation of a pinfall. Sunday the 17th at the Omni here in Atlanta. It will be the Sue Sawyer and Ole Anderson.
Mr. Gordon Sully, how you doing today? Let me tell you something. Big Red and Bad Leroy Brown, you are going to get your dues in the Omni the 17th. No balls, nothing challenge. Going to take care of you right away. And in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
That'll be tonight.
The people in Atlanta are in for a real treat. It's going to be a big night on the 17th. I think it'll be the last time we'll see Mr. Rhodes. The last time that we'll see Tommy Rich. And it'll definitely be the last time that we'll see the Armstrongs. And for sure, you'll never, ever have to worry about seeing Bad Leroy Brown or Big Red again when we get done with them.
Paralysis. Brown okay and back on his feet now, but he wasn't for that critical 3 count, and that's really what it's all about, the submission or the 3 count. Let's take a moment now. You know, Mr. Piper, your allegiance and obvious open admiration of this man, Gary Hart, has brought you into a rather strange situation with this man, Kabuki.
Well, it's all just. You see, Mr. Hart is the greatest wrestling manager possibly in history. And when he manages, he's not doing anything wrong. It's just public opinion that sways. Kabuki, they're in there using scientific moves. Oh, yes, I heard them say something about Mr. Dusty Rhodes was attacked by Mr. Kabuki. Is that true?
Well, there was some comment like that, yeah.
That's exactly right, Mr. Soley. There was some comment, but no one got it straight. What happened was Mr. Dusty Rhodes, given his best shot, with no rhyme or reason, attacks Gary Hart. And what happens? He gets his tail kicked, doesn't he? Don't we have a film of Dusty Rhodes and Mr. Kabuki and Mr. Hart?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think it would be interesting for those of you who may be new viewers or may not be familiar with the great Kabuki. You saw him earlier in a previously recorded interview with Playboy Gary Hart. Let's take a look at the very man that both of these men were talking about, the great Kabuki. And if we may, Mr. Hart, I'll allow you the opportunity to offer your description.
And I'm Mr. Piper, Mr. Foley.
I apologize.
No problem. Now, notice the squirm in the worm there. What happened to the great Dusty Rhodes? He looked great in there, too, just like Phyllis Gill. Come on, Mr. Dusty Rhodes. You see, an unprovoked attack. He's touching the referee. Is he not on the referee? There's no excuse for Dusty Rhodes to be molesting the referee. Dusty Rhodes, all as I see is a man squirming. You see, I got something. You see, I've done my homework. When Gary Hart turned me over, I do things right. Now, I want to show you a film of Kabuki, Mr. Dusty Rhodes, old master of psychology. I want to show you a film of just what Kabuki can do, so tune your little ears right in. There you go. Talk about master of psychology. Look at Kabuki. How would you like to meet him in the dark alley, huh? And the greatest manager in the world. Now, this, you guys, look at that. Look at that. One kick placed just perfectly. 3 count. He doesn't even have to cover him fully. The man is obviously unconscious. Gary Hart coming in a terrific move because what he's doing, he's not wasting time. He's not wasting energy. He goes right, knows what he's doing, goes right for the punchline. Now, you take a look here. Yes, maybe a little crazy. That's not bad. Look at it again. One kick perfectly placed. Is that not true? Of course that's true. There we go. Both feet on the stomach. Now he's just kind of playing. He likes to have a little fun, you know. There he goes. And another 3 count. Now we're talking 2 men down. I ain't seen Dusty Rhodes beating nobody yet. Now here we go. What am I trying to... Excuse me, am I talking above your people's heads? What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say one kick. One perfectly placed kick. One punch. And it does it. We're not wasting energy. We're talking science here. We're talking the kind of wrestling that I have developed. Look at this, man. Look at the control he's got. Now, Dusty Rhodes, are you watching, Mr. Kabuki? Oh, I see him. You see, the thing is, Mr. Foley, Dusty Rhodes, the master of psychology. What he's doing, he talks a big fight. I've been listening to the American Dream, and I told you what I think of the American Dream. He's been talking a big fight, but Mr. Kabuki, you see, he don't speak English. Now, what Dusty Rhodes does, he likes to psych out all his opponents. He don't speak English, and I don't particularly care about you, Mr. Dusty Rhodes. You see, you ain't going to be able to psych me out because I am different from everybody else. I have intelligence, something maybe that you're lacking a little bit. Oh, I seen him out here in the interview. Gets himself all painted up like Mr. Kabuki. A tremendous psychology technique. Come here, Mr. Kabuki. I will be the assassin. You're not playing with kids now, Mr. Dusty Rhodes' American Dream. You're not playing with nobody but people who want to eat steak. So you want to come out there and you want to give it your best shot, then you go ahead. But you will learn. You don't play with Mr. Kabuki, and you will pay the piper.
Thank you, Rodney. Rod, obviously a very intense young man and a little prone to get carried away. We'll be back in just a moment.
My faith and my ability speak for themselves. And anybody, that means anybody, that wants to get in that ring, there's only one way they're going to go, and that's down, brother, down.
Thank you so very much. Synonymous with the name of Ric Flair and the World Heavyweight Champion. He makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but he travels hundreds of thousands of miles to defend that title.
Well, that's right, Gordon. So it goes without saying, the Nature Boy lives the lifestyle of a king. He is a one-of-a-kind, I told the people 9 years ago, when I first started in this great sport, that whether they liked it or not, I would rise to the top, and I would wear this championship belt as no other man has ever worn it. I travel all over the world. You know it, Gordon Soley. I have a schedule that no other man could possibly endure other than myself. Kansas City coming up, Tampa, St. Pete, New Orleans, Richmond, Charlotte, Greensboro, makes no difference. Wherever the Nature Boy is, ladies and gentlemen, you have an opportunity to see the finest wrestling machine in the world today. The greatest athlete to ever wear this belt, the coolest, the smoothest, the greatest of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, there's only one man that wears this 10 pounds of gold. It's me. and I'm going to wear it as long as I desire. Think about it. It's no brag, just fact. Thank you, Gordon Solie.
Thank you very much. Ric Flair, the world heavyweight champion. I can assure you of one thing. Whether you live in Columbus, Ohio, Canton, Ohio, Oklahoma City, New Orleans, Shreveport, no matter where it is, whenever you get a chance to see this man in action, you're seeing the world heavyweight champion, the very finest. Let's go to a ring now. We've got a great match coming up. Terry Taylor moving out against Marvin Turner. He's 17th at the Omni here in Atlanta. And by the way, tickets are on sale at all seats locations in the Omni. Call now and make those reservations early. This man to my right, the superstar, facing Tommy Wildfire Rich in a steel cage.
Let me tell you something. Tommy Rich comes out and he's all cool, calm, and collected. You're not too excited about this match. And I know why. Because down deep, Tommy, you're afraid. You said one thing. It started in the cage. I guess it's got to end in the cage. Right here in the Omni. Nobody else is going to fight. Nobody else is going to be interfering. Just you and me. And I'm telling you something, Rich. When I walk out of that cage, I'm going to look back and I'm going to look down at you. And you're going to wish, Tommy Rich, you're going to wish that you never ever stepped in that cage in the first place.
Now here's Freddie Miller.
Thank you, Gordon. We'll call your attention to January 20th. We're coming to the Omni and Gordon Solie. Let me tell you something. The first time ever, can you imagine it? A black world tag team champion. You know, from the beginning, I see it all in lights now. And let me tell you something, Buzz Sawyer and Ole Anderson. I'm going to tell you something, brother. Buzz Sawyer, you done bit off more than you can chew because, nah, you out with the big boys. Tell about it right. Hey, we going to do it. 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 We going to do it.
There's the bell, an Australian tag team match now, and it will be the Superstar and the Super Destroyer going up against El Grande Apollo and Tony Anthony. Tony Anthony, an all-Navy champion. El Grande Apollo, an all-around athlete. Great at rugby and soccer and wrestling from Havana, Cuba. Then moved into the pro ranks in Puerto Rico. And by the way, for those of you in Puerto Rico, of course, outstanding wrestling takes place in Puerto Rico. Anywhere you live, if you think it's exciting here on television, get out and see it live in person. Wow, beautiful cross-body block. And El Grande Apollo exploding, Latin lightning in action here.
To a wrestler coming from where Apollo did, because, and this is, you know, this is not being a smart aleck at all, but we are so lucky, the people that live in this country, because we have such good food on the table. We're eating red steaks, and we just grow naturally, where these folks have to fight and earn everything they eat, and consequently, really, the athletes, that's why such great athletes come from America, is because of that, just that particular point. And these people have to starve sometimes, or just work hard to get what they get, and when one of them makes it like this, it's truly a credit to them, I believe.
Well, El Grande Apollo he's truly an outstanding athlete, and of course, the most important thing, I believe, with any athlete, regardless of how well you may like him or dislike him, one always has to respect an athlete because of the tremendous amount of self-sacrifice and total self-discipline that must be exacted in order to become successful, because the body is the entire key along with the mind. And, well, you're winning the Mid-Atlantic Championship. Has to be, very seriously, Mr. Piper, a great credit to you in that respect.
Well, I thank you, Mr. Solie. I appreciate the respect, and it is absolutely true. And you got 4 men right in there now that are extremely fine athletes, just what you're saying, and they all deserve credit, don't they?
They do indeed. The tremendous courage it takes to step out in the ring and put your reputation on the line on a national basis. You know, I just wonder how many people are willing to do that. Apollo slips through, makes the tag. Tony Anthony moves in, the Super Destroyer after him. The Super Destroyer catches him. A good high knee lift that put Anthony down. Anthony smashed into the far turnbuckle. And those percussion-type blows to the head, depending, of course, the amount of brain fluid surrounding the brain as to how easily that brain is short-circuited. And it is the Superstar now taking him over very quickly. Hip lock takedown, keeping the side headlock. This actually may serve Anthony well, because it'll give him a little bit of a respite.
Yes, possibly. That's very good. Sometimes when you think one wrestler has the advantage, really the other fellow that has the advantage. But in this particular, you notice this tag team. Are they not elite? This tag team here, always tagging, always talking back and forth. That's very important in tag team combinations. Talk to your partner. Let them know what you're thinking all the time. Extremely important.
Wow, feinted to the, and he had Tony Anthony's eyes going skyward as Anthony was watching that arm. He drove the knee to the midsection, feinted him out beautifully, double-teamed him that time, drove him back to the canvas, lateral press, and Apollo breaks it up. Good move by El Grande Apollo. He broke it up very nicely. And Superstar back out there now. Gets the bear hug on Tony Anthony.
And that is a smart... Oh, what a move. What a move. Yep, that's it.
That had to be. That had to be. I don't believe anybody at all could have withstood that. And I think once again we have seen an ample indication of the power, the strength, and the determination of these two as a tag team combination. And you know, in retrospect, in looking over the past hours, Rod, we're looking at certainly a most important announcement, the fact that
Excuse me.
Ole Anderson has named Buzz Sawyer as his tag team partner. They're now the World Tag Team Champions. And here's the man, Tommy Wildfire Rich, with a lot of things left to settle.
Well, you know, Gordon, there's a whole lot of things going on in Georgia right now. But all I've got to say is, I heard you out here a while ago, Superstar, said Tommy Rich is low-key. He ain't got much to say. He ain't out here.
January 17th at the Omni, the steel cage. This man outside with the key, Tommy Wildfire Rich and the Superstar inside.
Yes, sir. And
Big Red, an impressive tag team combination, as well as the Superstar and Super Destroyer, as well as Ole Anderson and Buzz Sawyer.
hey, baby, you said it. You know, me and Big Red,
We got a job in front of us, Gordon, and the job is Ole Anderson and Buzz Sawyer.
and we gonna get it done. Tell them about it.
There you have it, and that's all the time we have. Till next week, Gordon Soley saying so long.